Hey, I'm Angel, founder of AI Flow app, where we help founders turn operational chaos into clean, scalable systems using AI. AI Flow is my podcast where I talk to early stage leaders about the real behind the scenes, what's working, what's breaking, and how they're using tech to move faster with clarity. Let's get into it. You can join us on AI Flow today. Yeah, so I just want to quickly set the agenda. So we're gonna first talk about your experience and like what got you into like accounting for restaurants. And then we'll dive into some like industry trends you're seeing. And then we will take a look at like any issues that you guys might be facing, like with operational workflows internally. And then we'll wrap up with like next steps. Does it sound good?
Okay, yeah, it works.
Okay, yeah. So just tell me about like how you got into accounting for restaurants.
Um, well, I started, I don't know, it's probably a little over 20 years ago. I was got a job as a controller for a restaurant group, a deli franchise group, and I grew with them. We had, I don't know, 50 or some franchises. Grew to their director of finance. Eventually left there and worked for another restaurant group. Um, that was part of a hotel management company with about 8 different restaurants around the country, full service, fine dining, a little bit of different, very different from the deli side of things, and learned some different pieces there. Um, and then I got in 2008 I got laid off and started this just needed something, so this is what happened from that. And so it's been about 16 years that since I started Okra, and just trying to get better every year.
Okay. I saw that you did a recent podcast, or I don't know if it was considered a podcast, but for like the pros and cons of outsourcing accounting.
Yep, yeah. We did
Yeah,
a,
could you tell
a
me a little bit more about
webinar
it?
with a
Yeah.
few restaurant owners, outsourced CFO, accounting company. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you find any insights that were useful?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a great discussion, right? I mean, and
Yeah.
obviously, I'm a little biased about the pros of outsourcing your accounting,
Yeah.
but it's not a solution for everyone. It works for a lot of people. There's some people that need somebody sitting right here next to them, so that they have that direct communication at any given point. There's others that are ready to kind of work within a system, and if we can make the flow of data work the right way. We can turn everything around and give them good, accurate information every week, and really provide them with the information to run their business and hopefully make improvements as they go to increase profitability. And with us doing it, or an outsourced company doing it, they should then have the time to actually do something with that data. You know,
Okay. Yeah. So, from your perspective, what are some of the biggest shifts happening right now within financial services, within like financial services for restaurants?
yeah. I mean, I think that everywhere we look, there's a push towards some sort of automation, right? And ways to
Yeah.
be more efficient, and ways to take repetitive processes and not have to do them, right? And I
Yeah.
think you're seeing that in the financial services area, and you're trying to see that within restaurants. Are there ways that they can become more efficient, and ways that they don't have to touch certain parts? So in an effort to reduce labor, and I think it's a direct effect of increased labor costs, increase in the restaurants, increased food costs. For us, we have increased software costs and increased, shipping and postage when we mail out people's checks. So there's a lot of, all these other things are increasing. So what can you do to help streamline it, whatever industry you're in, really?
Okay. Is there anything in particular that your company has done to automate more? Like within or for the restaurants?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's things that we're trying to do, and some pieces we're trying to improve. We're trying to, we push through some technology that helps us automate some of our sales approval process.
Okay.
There's a part of what we do that is kind of, just go in and open it up and click approve and make sure it's in, and then we review it down the road. But it just kind of, it's a step that needs to get done. So trying to automate that so that just happens. There's other pieces we're working on to try to streamline more. We have a repetitive task every week for most of our clients where we have to enter third-party delivery service fees like Grubhub or DoorDash, right? And it's a pretty
Yeah.
straightforward process. You're looking in the same place for the same number each week, and we're trying to find a way to automate that, so get the data in again. So we can push through that part of it, so it's in, and then let our people spend their time reviewing it to make sure that everything is coming in the right way, and that our customers are getting paid what they're supposed to, and take the time really reviewing it and doing this kind of extra check rather than just getting the data in. So that's kind of our next project.
Okay. That's interesting. Are there any operational challenges that you guys are running into now that maybe wasn't so common a few years ago?
Well, I think that from what I see, the majority of our staff is remote. Right? There's on a given
Okay.
day, there's 3 or 4 of us in my office. When before COVID, there was 20 of us.
Yeah.
Maybe not quite 20, 15. But, and then people worked from home and found out that it works. And it's great. And people seem to be very productive. But the other side of that is you don't know for sure. And it's very hard, especially when you're bringing on a new team member, to make sure that they're trained right and make sure that they've got the support they need. As opposed to back, when they were coming to the office, you would stop by the desk, right? Everything going okay?
Yeah.
You good? You got what you need, and you know that they have what they need to be productive. You know that they are being productive. You can kind of have a better gauge on it. So
Hmm.
so now that the change is, how do you gauge that productivity without being able to just turn around and see, right? And so we're trying to find different metrics and know that this should be done in this amount of time. So we put in different time tracking software, which we didn't use before, to be able to see how much time people are spending on different tasks and say, okay, that makes sense. Or be able to go back and say, it looks like you spent 2 hours on this, and really that should take you 45 minutes. What's going on? Is there a problem with the way you're getting information from the client? Is there a problem with training? What's the issue, in being able to help? So it's a, you have to look at it a different way than you used to.
Okay. And what's one thing that founders often miss when thinking about scaling their ops or their finances?
One thing that there's a lot of
Or
things.
many.
Right? Yeah, I mean, I think I
I'm all
mean,
ears.
there's a lot of things you don't know that's what's going to come with it, and when I first started, this is how much it takes to do this, so I'm going to just do that all these times. But then there's different issues that come in. There's there's a certain point where I couldn't manage everybody, so you need to get another person in to help manage some of the team, right? And luckily, I have wonderful people who help with all of those things, right? I have a director of operations who's amazing and can really take some of those things off of it. I have a great team that helps with our onboarding, but didn't see all of those things uh, until in some cases they were a problem. With our onboarding, I would do it all, but there was too much for me to do, so our onboarding wasn't as good as it could have been. So we had to revamp that to make sure that we had better support, so it wasn't all on me, right? And be able
Yeah.
to to let go, right? And to say, I know that
Yeah.
you've got this, and you're going to be able um, to handle this, and I trust you, and I'm gonna check, and I'll be back here if you need my help, but you can handle this part of it. I don't need to touch every piece.
Yeah, I feel like learning how to delegate is so important.
Yes, definitely.
Curious about how long that learning curve for delegation took.
It's still going, right? I mean, I think that
Yeah.
there's pieces that were easier to, and some of it's a pain point that you have to, right? You can't do it, so you have to be okay with delegating. You have to take the time to train somebody. Um, some of it is, I should delegate this, but I kind of like it, right? And so maybe I
Yeah.
don't want to give it up, but at a certain point, you're like, this is not a good use of my time. I should give it up. So there's there's that push and pull of, do I want to give it up on
Yeah.
one side, and the other is, can I have it? Do I have the right person trained to be able to do it? And two different obstacles.
That makes total sense. So at Okra, am I saying that right? Okra?
Yeah.
At Okra, like what kinds of internal processes have been surprisingly tricky to scale smoothly?
I mean, I think that there's one thing, and this is kind of inherent with restaurants, is, we say we're going to process your accounts payable invoices, right? And a lot of places have the same vendors. We have a lot of clients in the New York City area, and we see the same vendors over and over and over again. So you would say,
Hmm.
great, this one uses them. Enter all the invoices. Now here's this one. Enter all the invoices. But everybody's a little bit different, right? And so people will look at things in a slightly different way, depending on what kind of restaurant they are. They don't have a beverage program. Great, we're pushing everything to food. They do. Well, we may need to look at limes and make sure those are going to a bar cost because they're going in every drink, right? So you've got to really make sure that you're paying attention to the specific operations of your client to adjust. So it seems like it's plug and play, easily duplicatable, but it's not necessarily. So you gotta treat everyone a little bit differently, and that goes back to that onboarding part, that we make sure we get to know the clients and what they want to see and how they view
Hmm.
things. Because again, a restaurant's a restaurant, but they're not. They're all a little bit different.
Okay. So you find that like you're the way that you're scaling with each of the restaurants is tailored specifically to them, so it's a little bit harder to like kind of mass produce
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
in a
I mean, I
sense.
think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get into a flow, and the general flow is the same. They send in an
Yeah.
invoice at this time. We process it by that time.
Hmm.
We follow through with our weekly processes to get it all done. But making sure that we understand the little nuances is good. We need to make sure that we spend the time in the beginning understanding this and making sure that they understand our processes as well. So we're all on the same.
Yeah. Okay. It makes sense. Have you seen any places where manual work or old systems have slowed things down more than expected?
Uh, yeah, lots of times. I mean, there's still things. Again, we do them manually, and I wish we didn't have to. And it doesn't seem like we should have
Yeah.
to do some of them, manually. It's, you look at it and you go, why am I doing this? There's got to be a better way to do it. And I think you see the same things within restaurants, that this is how we've always done it. You know, and we've been operating for 15, 20 years, and this is the way it goes. Well, sometimes if you can take a step back, you may be able to see a different way to approach it. It's why we don't have much turnover at Oprah, but when we do bring on a new person for the team, it's great to be able to say, hey, come on, learn what we do, and then after a little while,
Hmm.
give me feedback, because it's not, I don't know, it's not that, doesn't have to be the right way. If you come in with a different perspective, you may say, hey, I've done it this way before, and it
Yeah.
shaves time off, or it helps make it more accurate, or whatever. And bringing in those different perspectives is always good. I mean, I think that having that different bit of diversity in backgrounds helps you see different ways to look at it that you may not have thought of. And sometimes it's better, sometimes it's not. So but you at least get the feedback to help push yourself forward.
Yeah. I feel the pain.
Yeah.
I have a financial services background as well.
Yeah.
So in my previous role, I've done a lot of manual work that could have been automated, and I have automated in the past.
Yeah.
So it's actually one of the reasons why I started AI Flow app, because
Mhm.
I wanted to like help start off like take my prior experience from my Fortune 100 companies to like help startups with their manual processing and like see where we can cut time. Like a big chunk of my experience in corporate has been in like operational efficiencies, whether it's in like finance, in operations, like it's something that I'm passionate about and something that I just want to be able to help others with as well. So
Yeah.
big reason why I started that. So I understand the pain.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Yeah.
Need people to help put these solutions together, for sure.
Yeah. And if you could like wave a magic wand and fix one back office or like financial process overnight, what would it be?
Um, I would think, and it kind of it encompasses this kind of third party piece, right? It's the managing all the different places you have to go to get data, right? Like I have to
Yeah.
log into a Toast POS and then a payroll system and then DoorDash and then a bank and all of these different places. You got to go to get all of this stuff just to do your work, just
Yeah.
to start, right? And so
Mhm.
if there was a way to say just make sure I have everything in front of me when I sit down, it would cut off a lot of time and again allow you to focus on the actual work rather than just gathering stuff.
I feel that. I feel that. So like a one-stop shop kind of thing.
Yeah,
Something that
some
integrates
yeah,
everything
exactly.
together.
Some way to just to integrate, aggregate, however, just to go get the information so I don't have to go get it, or send the information so I don't have to go get it.
So looking ahead in like the next 6 to 12 months, what kinds of internal improvements would you like to have in place then?
Sorry, say that again.
In the next 6 to 12 months, looking ahead, what kinds of internal improvements would you like to have?
Yeah, I mean, I think if again, really, if there's anything that I can make more efficient, I mean, that's just what I've been trying to look at over the past couple of years, and
Yeah.
what takes a lot of time, and is there a way to make it take less time? Right? And whether
Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
through some sort of automation, whether that's looking at it from a different perspective and saying, if we do this in a different order, even this will be better. I'm doing this before that, and I have to go back. Let me reverse it. So it's just continually looking at the different processes and the different pieces of what we do on a weekly basis to see if we can make it flow better.
Okay. Hmm. If there's one thing that you can make like effortless on your team, what would it be?
I mean, I really think it's this aggregation of data. We have bits
It really is
automated,
that.
but not everything, and the amount of logins we have,
Yeah.
especially depending on how the client actually works, is there's a lot, right? And so if there are
Yeah.
ways that we can streamline that aggregation, that would be the best. I mean, I'd much rather, and I'm sure my clients would rather that my
Mhm.
team spends time really kind of analyzing the data and double checking
Yeah.
it for accuracy rather than just getting it. Um, so,
Yeah.
and I'm sure my team would rather do that too than just constantly go log in and pull things. They'd rather look at it and actually, do some analysis.
Okay. So back to the one-stop shop thing, basically.
Yeah, I think so.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
That's exactly my pain point when I was in corporate, so I get
Yeah.
it. Fully get it. All right, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate your insights.
Yeah, definitely. No, thanks for having me. It's great.